Good day to Dr. Hafiza and my fellow friends. My name is Muhammad Ahmad Arif bin Muhammad Nazir and my matrix number is AS10927. Today, I'm gonna present about male reproductive system. Okay. As for the male reproductive system, its function is to produce, maintain, and transport sperm and also protective fluid which known as semen. The major part of a male reproductive system is a penis, scrotum, testis, epididymis, prostate, and also seminal vesicle. Male reproductive system consists of a number of organs that play a role in the process of human reproduction. Okay, this organ located within the pelvis. Okay, right now I'm going to explain about the major organ in the pelvis which is known as testis. Okay, testis is a oval-shaped organ located at the scrotum, and this testis produce sperm and also hormone, and also they secreted such as testosterone. Okay. And this testis have a pair of gonads in scrotum that produce both gamete and hormone that necessary for reproduction. Okay. Right now, as for the sperm is a gamete or which known as a male reproductive cell that play a major part in a fertilization. And this sperm produced by testis and also mature within the epididymis. Right now, we move to the anatomy of male reproductive system. In the male, in this figure, the major part that play a role in the male reproductive system is testis, scrotum, epididymis, vas deferens, prostate gland, ejaculatory duct, and seminal vesicle, and lastly urethra. This part, like I said, play a major role in the male reproductive system. So right now we move to the production of sperm. In general, production of sperm happen in the testis, but more specifically, this production of sperm happen in the seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubule located in the testis, and this seminiferous tubule is small and long duct that contain a pack of cells capable of undergo spermatogenesis. Organ and tubule house of the germ and hormone include and sex hormone. This tube germ and germ cell undergo spermatogenesis. Okay. During spermatogenesis, a pack of cells that in the seminal tubule, which known as spermatogonia, undergoes mitosis to produce daughter cell that similar to the parents, which known as a primary spermatocyte and contain two N chromosome. Okay. After that, primary spermatocyte, which is 2N, undergo meiosis 1 to produce a secondary spermatocyte, which is a haploid cell, contain half of the parent's chromosome. And then the secondary spermatocyte, which is haploid cell, undergoes meiosis 2 to produce a 4 spermatid, and this 4 spermatid also a haploid cell. And also at this point, Sertoli cell play their role. Sertoli cell function of Sertoli cell is to absorb any extra cytoplasm from this newly created spermatid. When this spermatid release into the lumen of the seminal tubule. Okay. For the spermatogonia, I forgot to mention spermatogonia. undergo in the testis, and also for the spermatids happen in the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. Okay, right now we move. This is the example of diagram that show how the spermatogenesis work. I hope this diagram make the process of the spermatogenesis more easier to understand. So right now we move to the penis and male organ. Okay, penis is a male organ sexual intercourse and normally covered by the layer of skin called forest skin. It's a three cylindrical column of spongy erectile tissue and contain a blood space. And the blood flows stiffen the penis and increase its size. Okay, right now I'm going to explain about this semen, or we know as seminal fluid. Semen is a fluid that contains sperm and also three type of gland. And this gland is also known as prostate, bulbourethral gland, and also seminal vesicle gland. Okay, right now I'm going to explain about this prostate gland. Prostate gland it secrete a fluid that increase sperm motility, and prostate gland male in the male reproductive organ. It sorry. Prostate gland. The function of the prostate gland is to uh, s- is uh, to help to propel this fluid into the urethra. And as for the bulbourethral gland, it's a pea-sized organ that lies posterior to the each side of the urethra, and the function and it secretes a pre-ejaculate fluid. Sorry, and bulbourethral is function is to neutralize the any residual acidity in the urethra. And lastly, for the seminal vesicle. Okay, I put see. Okay, as for the seminal vesicle, it flood the expel into the ejaculatory duct, where it can then move to the move the sperm into the urethra.
Hi everyone, I'll continue with my part again, which is female organ. As you can see here, this is ovary. Ovary is in a pair. Ovary is a female gonads, or is known as primary sex organs. It produces female sex hormones such as estrogens and progesterones during ovarian cycle, which will be presented by Adina. And this is fallopian tube, or is known as uterine tubes. It extends from the ovary to the uterus, but it not attached to the ovary. There's a sweep, a fimbriae, called fimbriae here, like a sweep over the ovaries, and fertilization happen in this tube. And then, to woman who doesn't want to give birth again, they will close off this tube, and the sperm cannot reach the ovum. During ovulation, the oocyte is swept from the ovary to the fallopian tube by combined action of fimbriae and cilia over this tube. And then developing embryo will swap into the uterus by ciliary movement and tubular muscle contraction. And this is uterus. Uterus is thick wall, and the narrow end of it is called as cervix. Here, narrow end of uterus called cervix. The embryo completes its development after embedding itself in uterine lining, called endometrium. This is uterine lining called endometrium. There are three types of uterine lining, which are endometrium, perimetrium, and myometrium. And this is cervix. Cervix leads to the cervical canal, which help in birth, which function as a birth canal and facilitate intercourse. So this is the mind map of the organ. All of these I've taught before, and this is for you guys to easy remembering. So this is vulva. What is vulva? Vulva is external part of reproductive system of female. It consists of vestibular glands, which is beneath of labia majora. We can refer to the med books at page 771, the structure of external part, and the vestibular glands beneath of labia majora. Labia majora is the measure of skin. So you refer here. There are two of labia, which is labia minora and majora. Labia minora is the minor one, and labia majora is the major one. And these glands keep the vulva moist and lubricated during intercourse. Second one is mucosal lining. Mucosal lining as a birth canal and facilitate intercourse. And next one is vagina. Vagina is a tube at 45-degree angle to the small of the back. And next is clitoris. Clitoris is at juncture of labia minora, means at the top of labia minora, and it consists many sensory receptors, and it called as sexually sensitive organ. Okay, and last one is labia minora and majora. Like I said before, it is a folds of skin on each side of the urethral and vaginal opening. That's all.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I am Nur Adlina Nadira binti Syara Amin, AS 10791. So we move to the next subtopic, which is ovulation. So as you can see that, and this is the picture of ovary. So first, a primary follicle contain a primary oocyte. So it will be developed and it will be divided to produce two haploid cells. So one of cell is secondary oocyte and one of cell is first polar body. As you can see at the picture that have blue background. So the first primary oocyte is 46 chromosome and secondary oocyte is 23 chromosome that undergoes the meiosis 1. So it will be undergoes again meiosis 2, which is it produce 8 and second polar body. So the so we move on to the upper picture, which is the ovary and the process of ovulation itself. So first, a primary follicle contain a primary oocyte, then it will develop to the secondary follicle that contain the secondary oocyte. So the secondary follicle it will be developed again to produce to produce the vascular follicle, which is the Graafian follicle. So next step is the ovulation itself. It will be occur when the secondary oocyte it will be released from the Graafian follicle. So that's it. That's process. It refer as the ovulation. So the vascular follicle or Graafian follicle will develop into the corpus luteum, which is a gland-like structure, and the secondary oocyte will enter the uterine tube, which is the fallopian tube. So, if the fertilization occur, a sperm enter the secondary oocyte, then the oocyte complete meiosis and become an egg with 23 chromosomes and a second polar body result. But if the fertilization do not occur, it will be undergo the period time, which is the girl always have in mind. So what happened to the corpus luteum? So corpus luteum will develop and coprolithium will degenerate at the end. Okay, so we move on to the next subtopic, which is control and phase of the ovarian cycle. So this is the picture of the hormonal control of ovaries. So first, the hypothalamus produces GnRH, which is gonadotropic releasing hormone. So GnRH stimulate the anterior pituitary to produce FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone, which is LH. So FSH stimulate the follicle to produce the primary estrogen, and LH stimulate the corpus luteum to produce the primarily progesterone. So estrogen and progesterone, they are main thing the sex organs and the secondary sex characteristic. And then both of these is the uh, both of these we call it as the they do the exert feedback control. So the feedback control regulate the relative amount of estrogen and progesterone in the blood. So that's all from me. So thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Najwa binti Muhammad Izam, matrix number AS10342. Okay, so today I will explaining about the uterine cycle. Okay, I will show you the diagram, but after this, because this slide cannot show right away. Okay, so let's begin with the uterine cycle. So I would like to explain that the uterine cycle has three main phases, which is from the day 1 until day 5. It is called as menstrual phases. From day 6 until day 13, it was called as proliferative phases, and for day 15 until day 28, it was called as secretory phases. You can turn to page 773 in middle if you want to see the diagram. Okay, so let's begin our explanation. Okay, so for day 1 until day 5, there are two events that will occur, which is the endometrium will disintegrate and will causing the blood vessel to rupture, meaning that this is where the first phases of period happen, where the blood vessel will rupture. And also here from the 6 until the 13, there are two main events here, which is the first one is the increased production of estrogen and ovarian follicle, which can cause the endometrium to be thickened, meaning that this is the end period, the end of the period. But in day 1 until day 5, the level of estrogen and the level of estrogen production was really low. But during day 6 until 13, it was increased the production. And also, it become the vascular and glandular. Alright? Okay, so let's move on to day 15 until day 28. Actually, this is included day 14 as well, because this is where the ovulation occur on day 14. So the main events that happen here is the production of progesterone by corpus luteum that increase, causing endometrium to double on thickness. As you can see here, this is where the endometrium being thickened, but during day 15 until 28, the thickness will double. And also, the uterine glands will mature and producing thick mucoid secretion. This is the diagram of the uterine cycle. uterine cycle. As you can see here, below here is the menstrual phases, which is from day 1 until day 5 over here. And from this is from day 6 until day 13, which is the proliferative phases. And the last one here will be the secretory phases, which is from day 14 until day 28. You can see here also, you can also see here that the progress of the hormone increase and also decrease at the different phases. As you can see here, from day 1 until day 13, the level of estrogen, the estrogen is this one, the estradiol, this one will be increased, but it will decrease the estrogen during the day 14 until day 28. If you want to, actually, the hormone estrogen and also progesterone cannot be on the same level on the same phases, meaning that the estrogen cannot be high and progesterone be high also at the same time. So if estrogen is high, the progesterone need to be low. Okay, so during day 40 until 28, the level of progesterone is high, but the level of estrogen is actually low. And also this is the anterior pituitary hormone. You also can see here the level of FSH, which is the follicle stimulating hormone, will be decreasing during day 1 until day 14, while the LH hormone will be at the peak on top of this one. Okay, and during day 14 until 28, the level of LH will decrease, and same also for the level of FSH. Okay, if you open your Medha page 774, you can see there is a table below the pages which show the simplify of the table. So you can look at the uterine cycle. It stated that during menstrual phases, day 1 until day 5, the endometrium will break down. And during day 6 until 13, the endometrium will rebuild. And during day 15 until 28, endometrium thickens and glands are secretory. So during day 14, the ovulation will occur. Okay, as for the ovarian cycle, you can see at the top of here, this is the developing of the follicle during this one. This is the developing follicle, the small one, and it will become bigger as the day increase, which is the follicle. And this is the last one will be the mature follicle. So this one is during ovulation, which is during ovulation, many events occur. And this is the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum will be corpus luteum will degenerate and causes the endometrium to break down as the menstruation occur. Will be the menstruation phases. So I will explain a little bit about menstruation. Okay, so during menstruation, 7 until 10 days before menstruation, women will suffer from premenstrual syndrome, which is the PMS. Mostly, this is happen almost to all women, and this is actually a common event that happened to them. Okay, so the signs of menstruation will causing breast enlargement, acne, headache, and also irritability. Mucus, blood, and degenerating endometrium descend from the uterus. Okay, next is the fibrinolysin enzyme released by dying cells, prevent the blood from clotting. This enzyme is really important because when the blood is clotting, it will causes like those menstruation cramp in uterus, and this is actually really painful. And for menarche, it occurs between age 14 until 13. Menarche is actually the phases where the ovarian uterine cycle has begun, meaning that this is the stages where women started to mature and menstruation will happen. Alright? Okay, so next is the menopause will occur between age 45 and 55, which women's ovary are no longer functioning. So, it's actually stated that if you having an early menstruation, meaning that you will having also an early menopause. Okay, so for this menarche, it stated that if menarche does not occur when you already reach the age of 16, it means that the condition, it means that your ovary having some non-functional process or developmental abnormalities, meaning that your uterine cycle are having were interrupted, which is it is not normal, because when you already reach the age of 16, you must already have the menstruation must already happen to you, and if it does not happen, maybe there was a problem in your uterine cycle, so you need to see the doctor quickly, right? Okay, so next slide. Okay, so next, let's move on to fertilization and also pregnancy. Okay, so this is happen when the fertilization occur. So when the fertilization occur, the embryo will begin its development and will travel down to the uterine tube and also to the uterus. So next, the endometrium prepared to receive the developing embryo, and then the placenta then produce human chorionic gonadotropin, which is known as HGC, which maintain the corpus luteum. Actually, HCG is the hormone that was detected when you are when you when you are doing the pregnancy test. So actually, the level of estrogen and progesterone are really high in the placenta. So when the progesterone and estrogen high, the HGC will no longer be needed. But for the meantime, HGC will remain in the placenta, and afterward will be the production of estrogen and also progesterone. Okay, so next, the progesterone and estrogen have two effects, which is shutting down the anterior pituitary and also maintaining the lining of the uterus. Okay, so when the anterior pituitary was shut down, no follicles will mature. As I said earlier, when if the follicle mature, the corpus luteum will be degenerate and menstruation will occur. But when progesterone and estrogen are high, they will causing the shutting down of anterior pituitary. And also for the maintaining the lining of the uterus, it means that the corpus luteum is no longer be needed. So it's also same as I said earlier, the menstruation will not occur. Okay, so the last one will be the menstruation. No menstruation will occur during pregnancy because of the level of progesterone, estrogen, and also the effects that happen during the development of the placenta. Okay, so I think that's all for Miss. So any question?